This episode of the Creep Street Podcast is brought to you by Martini Coffee Roasters. You know, people always look at me weird when I say I start off every morning with a big old martini. But then I set them straight, and I tell them I'm talking about Martini Coffee Roasters coffee. A delicious coffee made by the Martini family. They roast their coffee using a traditional method of sight and sound to roast those little babies to perfection. And they also sell green coffee beans for those home roasters out there. And right now, fans of the Creep Street Podcast can get 20% off their entire order by using the code CREEPSTREET at martinicoffee.com. Once again, for 20% off your order, use the code CREEPSTREET at martinicoffee.com. Martini Coffee Roasters, the perfect coffee to keep you creeps caffeinated.
You've taken a wrong turn down Creep Street.
Citizens of the Milky Way, my name is Dylan Hackworth.
This is Maureen Bogey.
And you have arrived on Creep Street, folks.
Hello.
Welcome all. Of course, follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Creep Street Podcast, Twitter at Creep Street Pod. We also have a TikTok. And on our Facebook, we have a little forum called Citizens of the Milky Way, a Creep Street fan page. Anyone is welcome to join that. Just click the Let Me In button and one of us will let you in.
Please do.
There, we like to just interact with our listeners, post funny stories, memes. Every week, we let them know what episode is coming up that weekend. It's a lot of fun. And
we love it. We love it.
And of course, if once a week is not enough, and let's face it, you ravenous animals.
You rapscallions.
It's simply not enough. So head on over to patreon.com/Creep Street Podcast for all sorts of goodies. Now, Maureen.
Yeah.
We just hit him with a double dose of The House That Screamed.
We hit him once and then they thought it was done and we went bang, bang. We shot him back with a...
It's rare we do a two-parter.
We don't do them often, but when we do, we pop off, I must say. And we kind of get in it.
It's only ever happened twice before, Skinwalker Ranch, and then the Bridgeport Poltergeist.
Has that really been it? I feel like we've done other ones, right?
I don't think so. I don't think we've done any other two-parters.
Creep Street Nation, reach out to us. Have we done more than just those friggin' two-parters? Let us know.
We've done episodes that are sequels.
True.
Like Cursed Movie Sets 1 and 2. But those aren't like the same story.
Right. No, for sure.
Or like the collections of stories like listener stories.
Right.
I think only twice before have we split a single topic into 2 different weeks.
Dang. So, I mean, last week, I'm glad we did. I think it was worth it.
Absolutely.
That was a spooky, scary set of episodes, some swinging sets of episodes right there. And if you haven't listened to them yet, recommend that you do. They're great.
Absolutely.
Not to toot our own horn, but we're tooting.
Toot them loud and proud.
Come on.
But Maureen, this week we are giving them a big old dose of the weird.
Yeah, this is just kind of covers a few different topics that we talk about here. We talk about conspiracies. We talk about strange disappearances. We talk about UFOs. We talk about extraterrestrials. And today we're going to be kind of tip-tap-toeing all up in all of those.
Well, because these are, they all come hand in hand.
Yes, and like we have said time and time again on this cast, if you're a Creep Street connoisseur, you might remember this. We kind of think that all of these things are connected in some kind of way.
Yeah.
Being on the other side of the veil, whatever that may mean. So ghosts and aliens maybe live in the same world or dimension, or we don't pretend to know.
Say what?
I know. But we think that maybe all of these things are connected with aliens, with friggin' Bigfoot, with,
absolutely,
ghosts, with all of it. So it kind of makes sense that it's all kind of in this story today.
Amen, sister. Amen.
So Dylan, today we are talking about a couple of things that connect.
Yes, they are related.
Yes. So buckle up and get ready. Okay? It's gonna get nasty.
It is. It's gonna get weird and very strange.
Yeah. Everyone, get ready for Kenny Veach and the Tall Whites. Amen.
Well, take us to church, Mama.
We're having fun. Let me read you off my sources for today's episode.
Please.
One is a fantastic YouTube video. We've talked about this channel time and time again. It's the lovely Bedtime Stories with their YouTube video, The Disappearance of Kenny Veach. We also have an article from Medium.com called The M Cave and the Hunt for Missing Kenny Veach by Anne-Marie Luneau. We also have another article from StrangeOutdoors.com titled The Mysterious M Cave and the Strange Disappearance of Kenny Veach. And then we have Nevada Magazine, M Cave and the Unexplained Disappearance of Kenny Veach. And of course, you gotta have a little bit of that mysterious universe in there.
Yes, please.
We love Mysterious Universe. They have a great article called Aliens Wearing Human Outfits Visit Vegas Casinos to Unwind? Hello?
Whoa.
Getting exciting here. What a headline. By Paul Seaburn. And then there is a fantastic documentary called Walking with the Tall Whites, partially made by Charles Hall, who we will talk about
Yes.
as things go on, as we go forward.
It's kind of like two separate stories, but they are connected. The disappearance of Kenny Veach, some say, might be because of these tall whites that we are about to learn about.
So our story really begins with just one man, and his name was Kenny Lee Veach, age 47. He lived in Nevada, I believe the Las Vegas area. He had a girlfriend. I don't know if they lived together or whatnot, but he did have a girlfriend, and he really, really enjoyed hiking. Really, he was an outdoor guy. He would go with his girlfriend sometimes, but he was really into the solo hikes.
Okay.
The solo climbs, all that jazz. I don't get that, but that's the thing.
Hey, I guess it is.
God bless. And Kenny, he specifically loved to hike in the Mojave and Great Basin deserts in Nevada and California.
Okay.
So the terrain there is pretty intense. It
Yeah.
gets, some parts of it, get super fucking hot.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, when you think of a desert, it's like, that's what we're thinking of.
Right,
Just
right.
really unforgiving terrain, a lot of mines, a lot of caves. I'm sure it's very cool to explore, but it's, pretty dangerous. It's incredibly hot. You have to make sure you bring enough supplies and water and food and,
Right, exactly.
everything. It's not for the faint of heart.
Not at all.
So he would go on a lot of these hikes and these camping trips all by himself, being gone for days at a time. And he didn't even like to use GPS or a compass or even maps.
Whoa, okay.
He thought that those were kind of just like for the beginners.
Okay.
And he was like, I'm a full-grown daddy.
Okay, all right.
I don't need that shit.
All right, Kenny.
Okay. I've said it once, I'll say it again. God bless.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do I support it? No.
All right.
But who am I? 24601. So, as I stated, he was not always the safest when he was camping and traveling. And it's not just me that says that. According to a lot of my sources, a lot of them were like, listen, according to avid/professional hikers and stuff, that this is not recommended. You need to bring a compass, GPS, all that.
Right.
If you have, why not use it? Come on.
Exactly.
So Kenny also had a pretty active life online. He commented a lot on YouTube videos. He had an account. He didn't post a ton of videos, but he did post some.
Okay.
But, he was kind of he was a commenter. He was stirring things up. He was a part of the conversation.
Absolutely.
And one account or channel he was really into was called Serious Disclosure. And this was a group that studied extraterrestrials.
Okay.
And this is how Serious Disclosure describes themselves on their website. We're interested in the development of a peaceful relationships with extraterrestrial intelligence, ETI, which has been visiting planet Earth for decades, if not centuries. Part of the reason the ETI presence has been kept secret is that one of the first questions would be, how are they getting here? They're not using fossil fuels. Is it through zero-point or quantum vacuum energy generation systems? And is it those energy systems we want to develop and bring out to the general public so we may have a world of pollution-free sustainable abundance? So they're getting into some conspiracy shit here.
Okay, all right.
But I mean, it's interesting because we've seen UFOs. UFOs are real.
Yeah.
Like the U.S. government has come out forward and said UFOs are real.
Yeah, they have.
We just don't know exactly what is piloting them or what they are.
We just know they seem to be operating in ways that defy what we think we know about physics.
Yeah. And a lot of it is thinking that like they're being propelled or pulled through space rather than being pushed through space like a spaceship as we know it would be. And so it's kind of this like interesting pulling situation.
Right.
So it's like that would change the game in terms of oil, fossil fuels, all of it.
Right.
So, I mean, this thing, I see where it's coming from. It's like this technology must exist in some way because we're seeing these UFOs make like 90-degree turns and, you know, all this shit.
Right.
More than that.
Right.
Now, the founder of this YouTube channel is named Dr. Stephen Greer.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
We've seen him. He's been in a few documentaries we've watched.
I was going to say, I was like, this guy has popped up before.
Yeah.
That name might ring a bell for you too.
Yeah.
Now, he has a video on his channel, and it is about a man saying that his father, this isn't Stephen Greer, it's Dr. Stephen Greer, but it's someone else named Paul Utz. He says a story about how his father got drunk one night and admitted to him that there was alien intelligence that was being reverse engineered or whatever, and it's a new type of energy source, and it's composed out of organic materials. And here's the thing, it also happens to have like some sort of consciousness, this energy source.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Whoa.
Whoa, indeed.
Pretty wild.
Yeah.
Our boy Kenny pops in the chat, okay? Gets right in those comments, deep in those comments.
Okay.
His name is Snakebit McGee.
Okay.
Apparently he actually was bitten by a rattlesnake.
Oh, goodness.
You hate to hear it, but am I surprised? And this is what Kenny had to say in response to that video.
This ain't nothing. I'm a long-distance hiker. One time, during one of my hikes out by Nellis Air Force Base, I found a hidden cave. The entrance to the cave was shaped like a perfect capital M. I always enter every cave I find, but as I began to enter this particular cave, my whole body began to vibrate. The closer I got to the cave entrance, the worse the vibrating became. Suddenly, I became very scared and hightailed it out of there. That was one of the strangest things that ever happened to me.
So keep that in mind as we go forward, but how weird is it that he just like got this weird sensation, vibration?
Yeah.
In the cave.
Absolutely.
It kind of reminds me of like the energy that the family could feel in our last episode.
Yes, that sort of electrical feeling. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Now, as you can probably tell already, Kenny was a little bit kind of like sure of himself, I guess maybe you could say.
I was going to say, I get that vibe. Okay.
Maybe hot rodding.
Hot rodding.
A little bit.
Bit of a maverick.
Mm-hmm. He also had this to say about his trip to the M Cave.
I solo hike across mountaintops that most people wouldn't dare go. I have been in more caves than I can count. I play with rattlesnakes for fun. This one particular cave was beyond anything I had ever encountered. Someday, I will go back, and I will bring a weapon with me. All I had at the time was a knife and a wrist rocket.
After a quick Googling session, I guess it's a slingshot.
Ah, okay.
So there you go. Very cool. And that's really not all. He goes on to say even more about himself and his cred.
I have been doing this sort of thing for over 20 years. I go where no one goes, and I never take anyone with me. I find skulls of all shapes and sizes, and occasionally I find really old animal traps. I hike over mountaintop after mountaintop and sleep on peaks under the stars. Sometimes I have to scale giant cliffs to get myself out of a jam, but I always make it back. I'm beat up and tired, and my pack is almost always heavier than when I left. I had to be rescued only one time by a helicopter. I had blown out my left leg at the top of the mountain, and I only had a cup of water left to get me 20 miles back to my truck. It was also over 100 degrees out, so I have a very good safety record.
Don't know if I'd call that a good safety record, my guy.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
Maybe that's a more common thing in the world of hikers / climbers or campers or whatever, that like sometimes you just gotta get a helicopter to get you. I don't know.
I guess so.
I don't know, but to me that seems a little intense. Now, something also to keep in mind as we move forward is that this place where Kenny was searching and was hiking was a place that had a bunch of old mine shafts that the military used to dispose of chemicals. And also, it's kind of known for being like a shady area where people like come to dump murder victim bodies.
Oh, okay. Oh, interesting. All right.
Yeah, so this is kind of like this is a remote spot.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's be real. Welcome to our spot, my spot, whatever that song is called. You understand?
All right. Okay.
But let's go back to another comment that Kenny has left.
Maybe it's just a strange-looking cave that has a mountain lion living in it. It should be sometime this week. I will have my 9mm with me this time, just in case. Last time I was unarmed. It's a 10-hour hike, no trails, very dangerous terrain. The mountain is located right next to a bombing range. I found some giant empty rounds of ammo before. I've just been waiting for the Vegas weather to cool down. It's not the kind of hike one would do in the summer.
So he's popping off and saying, I'm going back. And not long after that, someone commented saying, did you make it back okay? And this is what Kenny has to say.
I got back from a 10-hour hike yesterday. I completely searched the whole damn canyon. I could not relocate the cave. I found a tarantula, a tortoise, and a ram, but I could not find the cave. I don't know if you have ever climbed up and down a mountain for 10 hours, but it wore me out. All I got out of it were some nice photos and a big bag full of pine nuts. This is the perfect time of year to find pine nuts. Thanks for asking.
Okay, so some pine nut chat in there.
Absolutely.
So, went back. Here's the thing. Kenny had some haters.
Okay. All right.
Some people were popping off saying they didn't believe him and that he didn't really see this or he didn't go or that he whatever.
Uh-oh. All right.
And we know Kenny, he's not here to play games.
He's not.
No.
I mean, he goes where people don't dare go.
Right. He plays with rattlesnakes for fun.
For fun.
Okay? You understand? You get it?
Yeah.
Come on. And this is what he, just something, a part of what he's got to say to the haters.
You're welcome to your opinion. I have a video of the hike if you'd like to see it. I hiked completely around a large mountain. Do you even have a clue what that's like? There are hundreds of caves up and down the canyons I was in. I overestimated my ability to find the one I was looking for. It's rare for me to take the same hike twice. I don't use trails, and I cover extremely long distances. If you think you could do better, go for it. I have to warn you, though, it's brutal on the feet. I often will lose 1 or 2 toenails after one of my longer hikes. The nails take such a punishment that they turn black and fall off. If you have never hiked solo for 15 miles into a mountainous region, and then climbed to the top of a mountain you've never even seen before, spent the night on the peak, and climbed down the next morning, and then climbed another tall mountain the next day, and spent the night again, then hiked 15 to 20 miles all the way back to your vehicle the following day, worn out, with little to no water left, carrying a heavier pack than when you left, then barely having enough strength left to climb your stairs when you get home, and slide into a hot tub of water to rejuvenate yourself, you have no room to speak. Yes, this is what I do for fun. No, I didn't find the damned cave. I'm only a little disappointed. I can always go back and try again. I guess I need to start posting the videos of my hikes and of me catching rattlesnakes and critters. Then people like you would stop doubting me.
Okay. All right.
I mean, this is what I do for fun.
This is what I do for fun.
So he's kind of hardcore. This dude's kind of metal, honestly.
Very hardcore, gang.
Yeah. And, we love that. But long story short, he's saying he didn't find it. And this is where things, in my opinion, really start to get a little strange.
Okay.
A user named Lemmy Killmister replied to Kenny saying, "No, don't go back there. If you find that cave entrance, don't go in. If you do, you won't get out." Kenny then replied, "What makes you say that?" And Lemmy never responded again.
Oh boy, okay.
Now, here's an aspect to the story I just want to point out. We didn't really say this earlier on, and I should have, but better late than never.
Okay.
let's address the fact that we're pretty close to Area 51.
Oh, okay.
This is where a lot of government shit is going down in the desert.
Right, of course.
So it's like part of it is like really isolated and, maybe there's some nefarious gang activity where they're dropping off bodies and whatever.
Whoa.
Maybe there's also secret government labs and also not so secret ones.
Yeah, who knows?
So that's also kind of in the back of your mind when you're thinking about these things.
Interesting. All right.
Now, at this point, Kenny did not take Lemmy Kilmeister or Kilmister, however you want to say it. He did not take Lemmy's warning seriously. Didn't, as far as I know, didn't say really much of it again after just asking what does that mean and then Lemmy not responding.
Yikes.
So Kenny decides to go back out again, look for the M cave. And he's ready to tell the people. You understand?
That's
and
right.
This is what he has to say.
He was goated. He was goated. I
mean, gosh darn it. He's got to prove his stuff.
That's right.
That's just his personality, I think.
That's right. I mean, if there's one thing that someone who plays with rattlesnakes cares about, it's what other people think.
Right, exactly. Woo, and here we go.
I'm going again this weekend. I will be hiking solo for 3 days. I plan on covering about 40 miles. I will cross through the same canyon where I found the cave. If I don't find it again, I will just continue hiking over mountain after mountain to the north of the canyon. I dare any of the people that like to run their mouths on here to join me. My hikes are brutal on the body. After one of my long hikes, some of my toenails turn black and fall off. I lose about 13 pounds of body weight. It takes me about 3 days to recover from the abuse I put myself through, but I love every minute of it. There's no guarantee that I will find the cave again. The region that I cover is vast. There are many caves. I've been in hundreds of them. The M cave is the only cave I have ever feared going inside. I really want to find it again.
Okay, so he's popping off. He's ready to go.
All right. Any of those chodes that are doubting him can come along.
Yeah, he's saying, join me. But here's the thing, no one did. I think people knew, I can't handle that shit.
Yeah.
And they also were like, I don't live in Nevada. And they're like, I don't know anything what I'm talking about. Now, he left to go on this hike on November 10th, 2014. And he went to go to the southern Mojave Desert. And that was the last time he was ever seen.
Uh-oh.
So by November 14th, Kenny's girlfriend Sharon got worried because he was, supposed to be back. I think it was that day, if not the day, maybe the night before. And, so she's very worried, of course, and she reports him as a missing person. And I don't really know how these things work. And I don't really get it. Like, I'm sure it's a money thing.
Yeah.
But it's like they don't send people out to search for someone right away.
Okay.
It seems like, I don't know. If you guys know more about that, reach out to us, creepstreetpodcast@gmail.com, because I'm interested and I don't really understand it, because Sharon reported him missing on November 14th, and it wasn't until a week later that authorities began the search.
Interesting. Okay.
So maybe that's normal. I don't know.
Interesting.
But that just sucks.
Yeah.
And so a lot of search parties were sent out. There were helicopters. Everyone was looking all over the place, but no one ever found him. But there was one thing that was recovered, and it was his cell phone. It was on the ground outside the entrance to a mine. And so some people thought that maybe he had fallen into the mine shaft, so they sent down cameras to see if a body was down there, and they didn't see a body, and nothing really seemed to have been disturbed.
Interesting. Okay.
So everyone is really at a loss.
Yeah.
Having no idea what has happened to him, and people on, YouTube are commenting on videos talking about him, saying like, because they realize that he's gone missing, and
Yeah.
But eventually, on December 10th, 2014, Sharon Pilgrim, aka Kenny's girlfriend, wrote a long post or comment to update everyone. I am the girlfriend that Kenny spoke of in the video. There are so many posts. I had no idea until a friend let me know. So many people are wondering what happened and guessing different things. You are heartfelt about the sadness around what has happened with Kenny. He has not been found, and I feel that he probably will not be found for many, many months, if ever. I want to share what I know and feel about what happened, so that you might bring some closure and understanding in your own lives. Kenny absolutely loved hiking in the desert. It was his very favorite thing to do. We hiked and camped together all over the Nevada desert, sometimes 9 hours in a day. We found many abandoned mining towns, usually referred to as ghost towns by Nevada hikers. We explored many caves and mine shafts. We were always careful how we explored them, but Kenny was a bit more daring than I was. We wore snake guards, sun-protected clothing, used walking sticks, brought enough water and food for the hiking hours, and had extra food and water in the car. He rarely drank all his water. We took wonderful pictures of all sorts of things we saw. Rusted cars, old falling down buildings, cemeteries, mines, wild animals, tarantulas, scorpions, trees, cactus, and flowers. Our deserts are beautiful, if you have a love for deserts. They're not spooky, scary, but you do have to be careful of the terrain and of course bring enough water and food. We were always excited when we saw desert wildlife, like the bighorn sheep in the video. They are stunningly beautiful to see in person in our desert. We would stand quietly still to watch them as long as possible. I was so very excited to see the one he filmed in his video. I want you to know that I do not think Kenny had an accident. I believe he committed suicide. He battled depression for many years and would not take medication or see a doctor. He quit his job a little more than a year before he disappeared. He wanted to see if he could sell his inventions and do what he called cowboy interior design for homes. He bought his first home 5 years ago and had an amazing ability of decorating in this style. He was not successful in getting a business going and was running out of money after a year of not working. He no longer wanted to work in a quote-unquote job for someone else, and as his money decreased, he became more and more depressed. He really did not look for another job. In early October, with seeing his depression increase, I asked him how he was feeling. This is when he opened up more about his depression and of his thoughts much of his life about suicide. His father committed suicide when Kenny was in his early 20s. When I asked him the question, he answered me with, "If I decide to do it, you will be okay, because you are good at the law of allowing." He asked me what I would think of him if he did it. He also said if he decided to do it, no one will ever find me. It would be easy to do something like this in our desert with the number of natural caves and mines. He could hike many miles in a day, so there's no telling where or how far he could have hiked during a 3-day, 2-night solo hike. When he did not call me after the 3rd day of being gone, I called missing persons. The search for him was started within a couple of days of my call. Over 30 search and rescue team members searched 3 different times on foot. 1 helicopter flyover was done and there was no trace of Kenny or any of his camping things. They found his car in the area I told him it would be. They did find his cell phone by the mine shaft in the video. The mine shaft was only about a 4-hour hike from his car. It is my feeling he left it behind so that he could not be tracked from the GPS in it. He also did not take his video camera with him on this solo hike. It was left in his home, so he had no intention of filming anything. I share this with you for 2 reasons. First, so that you have more of an understanding who Kenny was and to bring some peace or understanding to the situation. Secondly, if any of you do decide to go out into the desert to look for him or the M cave, be careful and bring enough water and food. Walking sticks are a good idea and not doing a solo hike. Bring a GPS and make sure that you have let family or friends know that you are heading out for the hike and where and when you will be returning. A search really can't be on a 1-day hike. You would be repeating much of the same hike, just getting up the mountain and then be left with not many hours in the day to do a search. You would need 2 or 3 days at a time, and in the summer or even late spring, this cannot be done because of the heat of our desert. You would not be able to carry enough water. So please, please be careful. I had many wonderful experiences with Kenny, and will always remember them and have a place of love in my heart for him and the wonderful things we did together. I am healing from my loss and look forward to new experiences with desert hiking, camping, and taking beautiful pictures of our desert. Enjoy your adventures of life, and thank you for the kind, loving comments sent my way. Much love, Sharon.
Wow, okay.
So this doesn't prove anything necessarily. This doesn't confirm anything necessarily. However, this is incredibly useful knowledge for the situation.
Absolutely.
And it's so sad, but this absolutely could be the case.
Absolutely, yes. That's awful.
Yeah, so terrible. So even though that may seem like the answer, let's talk about some other theories, possibly, of what could have happened. He could have died naturally, accidentally, like he just ran out of water, ran out of food, things like that, because, he often didn't. He lived in the wild side.
Right, exactly.
It's definitely possible that this was just an accident.
Right, of course.
It's a very unforgiving terrain. However, if he just accidentally died like that, you would think that something would be found, some camping gear.
Exactly, right.
Something would be found. So this is not impossible, but we're not so sure.
Exactly, right.
Another theory is that he was attacked by an animal.
Okay.
There are big, scary animals out there.
Absolutely.
They'll get you mountain lions and whatnot. I always personally forget about mountain lions.
I do too, yeah.
I mean, that's insane. That's insane.
Absolutely.
There are lions
in the mountains.
There are lions in the United States.
I know.
And I can't. It's just wild.
Yeah.
Anywho, that's just me. That's something I can't get over. So yeah, maybe he was attacked by a mountain lion. Maybe he was bit by another rattlesnake and didn't have antivenom, or couldn't get, what's it called, antivenom?
Yeah, I get, or just the antidote.
Antidote.
Right.
Couldn't get the antidote, and so this is possible. However, there are some other signs. You would think their blood would maybe be found. Maybe his other camping gear. He had a gun. There was no evidence of a gun. Like they didn't see any bullet shells or anything like that. You think maybe he would shoot a gun if a mountain lion was coming for him or something. I don't know.
Right.
Once again, this is possible, but no proof. Another theory is that maybe he saw something he wasn't supposed to see. And this kind of goes in two different categories. First of all, maybe there were some criminals.
Okay.
Some nasty MFers.
Okay.
Out here maybe burying a body, maybe doing some other shit you see on fucking Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
And he's there.
Right.
And Kenny sees it, and they gotta shut him up. They can't let him talk. They can't let him walk. So that's a possibility, because that is a thing in the area, that it's possible. Once again, there's no proof of this.
Right.
It's just a theory. We're going to come back to the seeing what you weren't supposed to see, actually, the second part of that in a minute. We're going to come back to that.
Of course.
So another theory, once again, we'll come back to that, but a different theory, is that maybe he faked his own death.
Oh, okay.
He had a lot of money problems. He quit his job. He was trying to start a new business. It wasn't working out. Some people even said that he sold his house because he was running out of money. So people think that maybe he just faked his own death and ran away and started a new life.
Very interesting.
Now, this is possible, but you would think in this day and age, and just in general, that is very hard to do.
Very hard to do, folks.
You would think he would be discovered in some way, shape, or form by now.
Exactly.
Sharon didn't think he had a bunch of money when he left. He didn't bring a bunch of cash with him. I don't know. This theory to me is the one that kind of holds the
least amount of water.
Yeah. But what could you do? Now, going back to what we were saying before about maybe seeing something you weren't supposed to see.
Okay, my ears are open.
Maybe that has to do with he saw something the government didn't want him to see.
Ruh-roh.
We're close to a few Air Force bases, if I am correct.
And we know he was a follower of or at least he enjoyed the work of Stephen Greer, of Dr. Stephen Greer, who's a big name in the UAP world.
Mm-hmm. And sometimes they say that being aware of these things kind of draws them to you in a way. Not always, but just something to think about.
Interesting.
So we're by Area 51. We're doing all of it, okay? And there are apparently not, once again, can't confirm this, but we've heard of that there are some alien beings, some extraterrestrial beings that are residing in the desert, okay?
Okay.
In Nevada. And they are called the Tall Whites.
Okay, you got my attention.
Yes. Now, when we think of extraterrestrial beings, we often think of greys.
Yes, we do. Yes. And there's theories as to why.
Yes.
There's many theories that perhaps greys, maybe they are extraterrestrial beings in and of themselves, or maybe they are sort of like these non-sentient beings created by extraterrestrials. They're kind of like the probe, like how we would send, a rover to Mars, that it's like this little computer that can do all these tasks. There's some that theorize that maybe these greys are like kind of like that.
Like
these,
biological robots.
Biological robots. A great point. Mm-hmm. But these tall whites are something else entirely.
Yeah. The greys are often, they kind of are like your classic alien, what you think of when you see like, drawings of aliens and stuff with like the large head that's kind of in like a upside down rounded V kind of fucking thing. And,
right.
And the greys are often smaller, on the smaller side than humans. Many think so that they can fit in these ships that they have, these UFOs.
Right, exactly.
But the tall whites are a little different. They are, as you may assume, they are tall and they are white.
Yes.
They're white, like a piece of paper. White.
Right. Not white as in Caucasian.
Right.
You know what I mean.
There's some tall whites. They are white.
Yes, like actually like white like paper, white like chalk.
Right, yeah, like chalk.
Literally white.
And their home planet is on the warmer side. It's a warmer planet, so a lot of people theorize that that's why they're in the Mojave Desert.
Okay, yeah.
But also some people say that maybe that's just where the U.S. government kind of is allowing them to be.
Right.
And that's just where it is. I'm not sure. Now, these beings, they have like platinum hair, but their eyes are really far apart. It's weird because sometimes they're described as being these completely shocking beings that are, it's crazy to see. Like their eyes are so far apart, like on the sides of their heads, and like it's just, a shock to the system to see them. But then we also hear that they can blend into human society when they want to.
Yeah, and that
I don't know
if and that makes you wonder: do they morph,
right,
or do they literally like just put on a costume?
Yeah, and they're just kind of they're passing.
Right, well,
I
you
don't
think
know.
if they're tall to a height that's like unnatural.
And they do at a certain point, they do get that point. But they're not all, like sometimes they're like 7 feet tall, which is
very
incredibly tall,
but it's not an
it.
unnatural tall.
You'll see it once or twice in your life.
You're going to see it, right, exactly.
But yeah, they have these gigantic blue eyes that I guess turn pink as they get older. And yeah, they are, small when they're younger, and they grow just like humans do. But they, if I'm correct, they don't really stop growing. So at a certain point, they kind of need the help of others around them.
Oh, to
move.
Oh.
And they kind of keep growing until they have organ failure, and that's how they die.
Wow, okay.
And their lifespan is like 800 years or something like that.
Oh, okay, interesting. Okay, so it's a long life.
It's a long life.
At least in what we would determine. Maybe not for them.
Right. We think that's long. I mean, we think, gosh darn it.
Yeah.
Now, these aliens, these tall whites, they're also different in a lot of ways. Like, they are not interested in abduction or anything like that at all. That's really not their focus. In fact, they kind of have their guard up around humans.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
Yes.
Is that they're almost kind of like repulsed by us.
Yes.
Like they're almost like they find us annoying. Some theories I have heard.
Yeah, pop off. Let's go.
Is that they have this agreement with I don't know if it's strictly the U.S. government or if it's just with the leaders of Earth.
Yeah, I'm not sure either.
Because there's apparently other alien societies out there, alien races that they don't get along with.
Right.
And so it's almost this communal thing, like, well, we don't really like the humans, but we have this peace agreement with them because we don't like these other alien races or whatever. They have a beef with them.
No, I've heard that too, and it's like they kind of think of us as being a little unruly, a little violent. that's kind of what they think of us, thinking we're kind of like these just warlike beings. So they kind of have their guard up around us. But it's interesting. I don't really know why they like want to go into casinos, for example. Like, they have been known to like get in their costume or do whatever they do to pass as human, and they get in there and they fucking play the slots.
Yeah, they're shooting craps.
You know, they're talking to a prostitute.
They're putting it all on black, baby.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I don't really know what the deal is there. Now, who really brought the tall whites into focus?
Right, who brought them into pop culture? How did they come to be known? How did they become part of wider UFO lore?
That's a great question, Dylan. Thank you for asking. There was an Air Force serviceman named Charles Hall. And in 1964, he was a weather observer at Nellis Air Force Base in Nevada. And this is right by where Kenny Veach was hiking. Okay? Keep this in mind.
Okay.
And this is what Charles Hall has to say. I witnessed interactions between the military and a group of mysterious, tall, white, human-like extraterrestrials. Their craft are capable of traveling faster than the speed of light because Einstein was wrong about relativity. I mean, kind of throwing Einstein under the bus.
Okay, wow.
Rude.
Wow.
But okay. He, working for the government in the middle of nowhere, and he feels like, he is seeing these things.
You're right.
And I think the first time he saw them, he saw like a little girl running. And he was like, what in the ding-dang hell? And it was this tall white, but she was short because she was a child. And that's kind of how it started for him. And he was hearing birds chirping, but there were no birds anywhere around. And he's realizing that maybe these tall whites can communicate with this kind of chirping. It sounds like birds.
Right.
We'll have to dive into this a little bit more maybe on the Patreon, because I couldn't get a ton of information on it, but I'll keep looking and hopefully I'll get that going over there. But there's also something, I think it's called Range for Harry. I don't know.
Yes.
It's like this radioactive horse.
Yes, because they obviously tested a lot of and do test a lot of nuclear weapons out there, a lot of atomic weapons. And so there has been this legend about a Range for Harry. Maybe I'll do a little more research on that for this month's Patreon.
Yeah, we would love that, because that was mentioned in here before too. It's like this floating white radioactive horse.
Yeah.
So that's something that Charles Hall witnessed too. And this is another thing that Charles Hall has to say. The tall whites have been working with our military since the 1950s and have shared their technology with us. And Charles Hall also goes on to say that there was a lot of interaction between the aliens and the humans while he was there. It's not like they were just aware that they were there. It was like they really were kind of in communication and working together towards
right.
something.
And I've read that too. Sometimes they would actually work in close quarters. And sometimes if they got startled, sometimes one of our people would get killed.
Right.
Because they startled one of these tall whites and then they killed them.
They used this electric shock or something.
Yeah.
I don't quite get it. They aren't coming after us, but they think that we are coming at them all the time. And so they're retaliating in their mind when we're we didn't even do anything.
Yeah.
Which causes some issues.
Right.
And here is just one more thing that Charles Hall said. When you encounter the tall whites, it's such a shock. You are not sure if you are looking at a ghost or an angel, or if you are dreaming. And it's funny that he mentions angel, because I think about this kind of a lot. In the Bible, it says that when people saw angels, they would get scared.
Yeah, several mentions in the Bible where when they encounter an angel, at first they're terrified. Yeah. Absolutely terrified.
Right. And that also is kind of mentioned in Midnight Mass, that show on Netflix, that wonderful show.
Excellent show, yes.
I won't go more into it because I don't want to do any spoilers for you in case you, haven't seen the show yet, but watch the show. And maybe once again on the Patreon, we'll talk more about my kind of theory, how that kind of comes in here. But that once again kind of goes together where it's so many things are connected, like ghosts with angels, with aliens. You know what I mean? Kind of all being together, and you wonder what is something, and maybe these tall whites have been coming here for a long time.
You're right.
Even before the 1950s, they just started communicating with the U.S. in the 1950s.
Exactly.
Or with the world's
powers,
world powers, yeah. And, maybe it's not just tall whites, or maybe it's tall whites are involved with it, but it's not the whole thing. Going back to Lemmy, this person who commented saying, don't go there, it's not, you won't get out.
Right.
Maybe this person knew something. I mean, some people have this theory of something called deep underground military base, or deep underground military bases.
Yeah.
Where a lot of alien-based things go on down there, but also a lot of human experimentation.
Right.
Maybe animal experimentation, kind of dark shit like that going on down there. And so maybe that was some of the reason why he felt so weird when Kenny went into one of the caves, the M cave.
Oh, yeah. Well, he didn't even get inside of it, right? It was just the closer he got, that feeling, that charge.
Right. And some people say that a cave could have had the effects of something called active denial system. Apparently, ADS is a non-lethal direct energy weapon developed by the U.S. military designed for area denial, perimeter security, and crowd control. So some people even call it a heat ray because it works by heating the surface of targets, but it doesn't damage any muscle tissue.
Isn't that wild?
And it seems like I think this is real.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that is real or not, but that's at least a theory, and it's like, that's wild,
Right.
Some people also have said that maybe there was a device in the cave that, used, or I don't know the right terminology, but there was infrared sound. And it was like a low frequency sound waves, which really affect humans when they are experiencing them. They can feel like vibrations and hallucinations and things like that. So that's also a possibility that was somewhere deep in the cave, and maybe that was happening because of the government in there doing stuff.
Right.
Or maybe that is naturally happening somehow. I don't know. There are a lot of questions here as to what is really going on. Because there was, I don't know if it was, I can't recall right off the top of my head if it was like a leak or if it was documents were released. I think it was documents were released, but Iran apparently felt like the leak revealed that there were these tall white beings running America, running the US.
Wow.
So, I mean, these tall whites, maybe there really is something to it. Maybe Kenny Veach saw them. Maybe Kenny Veach was affected by them. But also maybe this is just a really sad story.
Yeah.
And I think we need to acknowledge that too and let people know that you are not alone and that you matter and your life matters.
Yes.
And, please reach out for help if you need it, because
absolutely
we need you here.
We were just, when Maureen was doing her research for the disappearance of Kenny Veach and how one of the theories was the tall whites, and I was like, hold on a second, how is this related to the tall whites? Because I was that's its whole other, this weird, that we could kind of use to add to the mystery of this story.
See what else is going on. And there's, there's always more to talk about with extraterrestrials and stuff and aliens, and especially the tall whites. I recommend you watch this documentary, Walking with the Tall Whites, to get even more information. But yeah, it just seems like Charles Hall really kind of went through the ringer dealing with these strange beings, and then when he wasn't useful anymore, they just kind of let him go. I don't really know why they would trust him with this information, but maybe it's kind of like what we've said before, is that there's misinformation agents out there that make every claim seem crazy because there are so many people making crazy claims.
Absolutely.
So maybe there are some true claims that seem crazy, I don't know.
Yeah, you never know.
But so Dylan, that's kind of wrap us up. I hope you all enjoyed the episode and learned a little bit,
Absolutely. Well, I got a list of names that I'd climb a mountain with.
Okay.
Folks, the names of our top-tier Patreon subscribers. Of course, the Dream James Watkins, the Finnish Face Viet Lundqvist, the Madman Marcus Hall, the Vivacious Vicky McHugh, the Tenacious Teresa Hackworth, the Heartbreak Kid Chris Hackworth, the Oh-So-Suave Sean Richardson, the British Bonebreaker Bex Martin, the Notorious Nicholas Barker, the Terrifying Taylor Lashmet, the Count of Cool Cameron Corliss, the Archduke of Attitude Adam Archer, the Sinister Sam Kiker, the Nightmare of New Zealand Noeline Vivilli, the Loathsome Johnny Love, the Carnivorous Kevin Bogey, the Killer Stud Carl Staub, the Fire Firestarter, Heather Carter, the Conqueror, Christopher Damian Damaris, the awfully awesome Annie, the murderous Maggie Leach, the Sir of Sexy Sam Hackworth, the evil Elizabeth Riley, Lauren Hellfire, Hernandez Lopez, the maniacal Laura Maynard, the vicious Karen Van Buren, the arch nemesis Aaron Bird, the sadistic Sergio Castillo, the rapscallion Ryan Crum, the beast Benjamin Huang, the devilish Chris Doucette, the psycho Sam, the electric Emily Zhang, the ghoulish Gert Hankum, the renegade Corey Ramos, the crazed Carlos, the antagonist Andrew Park, the monstrous Michaela Scheer, the witchy wonder J.P. Weimer, and the freaky Ben Forsyth.
Wow. Wowie. Wowza. Thank you so much to our top tier Patreon subscribers. We are so grateful for you, and thank you for joining us on this cuckoo crazy journey we're going on. Thank you to all of our Patreon subscribers. Thank you to all of you for listening, okay? We love you. We do it for you. You know what I mean? We hope you enjoy it.
We sure do. Folks, thank you again for making Creep Street such a wonderful place.
It really is. And, if you could take a minute, or a second even, just to like, rate, subscribe, follow us on social media, share us on social media, anything like that to spread the word about Creep Street. We so appreciate it, and it really means the world.
That's right. Let's grow this family.
Okay.
Let's grow this family, Creep Street. Let's do it together.
Okay.
Citizens of the Milky Way, my name is Dylan Hackworth.
I'm Maureen Bogey.
Good night and goodbye.
Bye-bye.